Today we're going to take a look at how to make a histogram. I have the data from the 2008 Boys Varsity B lacrosse team and the time that it took them to complete the agility shuffle. Now remember, the agility shuffle is a timed event. The faster you complete the event, the better your results. So the fastest boy completed the agility shuffle in 12.7 seconds, while the slowest boy completed the shuffle in 17.4 seconds. And we would like to have a visual representation of this data. Remember, when you're given data, the first thing you should ask yourself is what type of data? And we are given the time. The time is in seconds. Therefore, we are working with quantitative data. When you have quantitative data and you want to make a picture, you have a number of options. You could create a dot plot, one of the simpler types of graphs, easy to do when you have limited number of data, so maybe 20 or less than 20, less than 30 data points. You can make a stem and leaf plot. Once again, a fairly easy type of graph, but you would want to use it for smaller data sets, or perhaps a box plot. But as I said, today we're going to focus on the histogram. So we have the data, and notice I've already put the data in ascending order. So the smallest value up to the largest value. When you make a graph, any type of graph, you always want to provide labels and units. You have a choice of putting your variable, and the variable that we're focusing on is time in seconds. You can put the variable on the x-axis or the y-axis. I tend to put my variable on the x-axis, and then I put the frequency, sometimes called the counts, on the y-axis. I've already provided a scale. Notice I started at 12 seconds. I'm going up by a half interval, and I go up to 18 seconds, and my counts, the scale is 1 units. When you make your histogram, you want to determine how many values or how many cases, another word for case is observation. In this case, each case represents a boy. How many cases fall into each bin? And I'm going to have my bin width be half a second. So first I want to know how many values are equal to 12 seconds and less than 12.5 seconds. I look at the table and I see that I have 0 values equal to 12 and less than 12.5. Therefore, I start off at 0. I have one boy who has a time between 12.5 and 13. Remember, it can be equal to 12.5 but less than 13. If a boy had a time of 13 seconds, he would fall into my next bin. I now have a bunch of cases falling into the next bin. 13 up to but not including 13.5. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 observations in the next bin. So my bar has to go up to 8. And we continue this process. We count how many observations for each bin. So now I'm looking at 13.5 up to but not including 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 14 to 14.5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 14.5 to 15, 1. 0 for 15 to 15.5, 1 for the next bin, also called a class, and then finally I have one student who's a little bit slow, let's face it, a little bit slow compared to his teammates, and he falls in the bin from 17 up to, but not including, 17.5. In the next lesson, we will investigate how to describe a histogram. What features do we want to focus on when describing a histogram? And let's review. All graphs should have a title, label, units, and scale. Notice at the moment my graph is missing a title, so let's call it Boys Varsity Lacrosse 2008 Agility. Hope this helps. Have fun creating your own histograms.